Greetings, iOS Nation. This is Renee from Tippy.com. Welcome to our weekly podcast focused on everything iPhone, from news and how-tos to app and accessory reviews. This is iPhone Live.
iPhone Live is brought to you by the Tippy iPhone Accessory Store, your one-stop shop for cases, cables, chargers, and much, much more. Check out store.tippy.com. See you there.
It's Wednesday, October 26th, and joining me tonight is the co-host of Iterate and the CIO of Nickelfish, Mr. Seth Clifford. How's it going, Seth?
It's going well. How are you guys?
Good. Now that we're finally here and gotten the show on the road, I'm way less stressed.
Yeah, that's good.
No big coffee talk.
Mm-hmm.
Also joining us is the host of iPad Live and Zen and Tech, our very own Phantom Zone villain. Georgia, how's it going?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to make it.
Kneel before Zod. That's the only thing I kept hearing when you were talking.
Why?
Oh, because I cast you as a Phantom Zone villain this week. I have no idea why. It just seemed apropos.
Sweet. Okay. All good.
So, we have, as always, a little bit of meta. Actually, we have quite a bit of meta to go through this week, George.
We do. We have iPad Live 79, and we had a special guest.
We were four geeks and a beard.
Jim came by, and he does have a pretty magnificent beard.
Jim Dalrymple from the Loop Insight.
So the wonderful thing is that if you didn't catch it live and you want to see him in action with the beard, you can now.
Yeah, not only do we have YouTube video, but we have video in iTunes. You can go to iTunes, you can look for iPad Live or iPhone Live video. Zen and Tech video is also up there. And you can watch your shows on your Apple TV, on your iPhone, on your iPad, on any of your iDevices, any device at all, Windows, iTunes, anything. We're just there. Boom. It's done. I said boom, Seth.
Boom. Yes.
Yeah.
We also have Zen and Tech 20, which was all about what we're doing right now.
Communicating. You mentioned Siri as perhaps the not the best role model for human interaction, but then you gave some tips on to how we can improve.
Yeah, just the basics. We start off light. But if you haven't already heard it, it's something that it's good to how to smile.
Georgia, you look nice today.
How to compliment people. Yeah, thanks, Renee. That felt heartfelt.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit Sheldon Cooper about this stuff. We also...
And Seth? Oh, sorry.
Yes?
Did you guys do an iterate?
We did. We did indeed. We did an iterate. And we had Jeff Gaucher on, who is our very first WebOS developer. We were very excited to get him. And we also got Derek.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kessler came with him.
Yeah. But it was a great show. It was highly technical and enlightening discussion. And we got into some kind of familiar territory, but with a new take, the native versus cross-platform kind of web development debate. So it's good stuff. You should check it out. And
Seth actually shook with glee because he got to talk for about 15 minutes about backup strategies. He was a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, I did. Think about backup a lot.
And he's not usually allowed to talk with other human beings, so it was a rare treat.
It was. I mean, most people, let's not get into
Georgia's
it.
falling asleep right now. Look at her.
Yeah, let's just say it doesn't go over well in most crowds.
Yes. It's not grown-up talk.
We also have Tippy asks, what apps on your main iPhone 4S home screen?
That was actually Adam Zeiss's, Adam Zeiss from Crackberry. He and Corey Streeter from Android Central, they're like doing massive forum oversight sort of stuff now. So they're working with Jeremy Sakura on our forums. And he's like, what's on your home screen? I didn't know. So I asked everybody. Actually, you asked everybody on the site and I asked them in the forums and we tied the two together.
And do you guys use your home screen for anything that is important or...
Yeah, my home screen is...
What chooses home screen status? What gets that?
My home screen is things I use every single day, and then the second page is everything else in folders.
I am, as always, Captain Default. I have the home screen as Apple intended it to be.
I can't believe you do that. I really can't.
Hold up yours, Seth. Come on.
You're slightly disgusting.
Whip it out, Seth.
Oh.
All right, hold on. I can't believe you don't have 5 minutes to actually
You're
take
missing
some
a row
time.
of icons. That's such a inefficient use of space.
I like a little bit of negative space on my screen. That's where I put my thumb to swipe.
All right. So what are your major changes did you do?
What major? Oh, well, all right. So I've got across the top Tweetbot, Reader, Instapaper, Instacast. Those are the heavy hitters. Then I've got Messages, Facebook, Day One, that journaling app I like, and Safari. And then I've got Kindle, Photos, Camera, and then a quick update app on the bottom row. Kindle doesn't usually ride the first screen, but because I've got Steve's biography in there, I've been doing that. And then in the dock is phone, mail, WeekCal, which is my calendar replacement for now, and Captio, my to-do thing.
That is such a mix of content and productivity that I am aghast.
It's pure daily efficiency and enjoyment.
Georgia, what do you have? Hold it up. Come on.
Well, I'm pretty stock as well, actually.
You got five
But,
icons on your dock. That's not stock.
My dock is where I put the things that I use the most, and actually, I'm probably going to be changing iTunes and using the iPod because usually when I find music, I use Shazam. So I don't actually have to worry, and I'm probably going to put 6 icons in my dock. I'm probably going to get the upgrade to that because I love it. Having my dock be on every single page for things that I really use works out really well for me.
100%. So Georgia is showing off the jailbreak version of a home screen. 100% pure dock.
Yeah, exactly. I want it all to be dock.
Oh, they're asking
Every
in the chat room, Georgia, if
photos
you
as
have an
well.
iPhone 4S yet.
Seth, you paid them, didn't you? No, I do
No,
not yet
no.
have an iPhone 4S.
Hold on, I
Yeah.
gotta hang up on her. Give me 1 second. This is iPhone 4S live. Wait a minute.
I didn't pay anybody. You're disappointing the community.
You used to be this legendary giant. We're gonna send you back to where we found you, unemployed in Greenland.
I'm still thinking about it again. Siri appeals to me.
Yeah. Siri or money. So the thing going on through her head now. Siri or money. So why do you have what you have there, Georgia?
Well, I just like to have the things that I use the most always on every single page so that, because I'm lazy and I don't want to even have to swipe or go to the home page. And then in the end, there's other applications that I don't use that much and I don't care. So they
I
can
would
be
not
anywhere.
swipe a single time more than I have to. I shall not deign to debase myself with swipage.
You know that I'm lazy when swiping is too much
Yeah.
effort.
I don't
So-
update apps. I don't swipe.
So, Captain Default, you
Yes.
have what, stocks and contacts on your home screen?
I don't think stocks are on the home screen anymore, are they?
No.
I think Apple put them on where did Apple put stocks? Maybe I do. I don't even see it.
I put them into their own little folder. So stocks actually have a little folder of their own, so I don't see them really.
I have messages, calendar, photos, camera, video, YouTube, maps, weather, notes, reminders, clock, game center, which might as well not exist on my screen, newsstand, iTunes, App Store settings, and in the dock, just as Steve Jobs personally selected, I have phone, mail, Safari, and music.
It's not terrible, but it's questionable.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to stocks. Did stocks get murdered and buried somewhere where Phil Schiller couldn't find it?
I had them. They were on my phone.
Oh, it's demoted to the second screen before the utilities folder. I'm surprised. Next step is in the utilities folder for Apple. That's a general how they devolve you. But we have a whole thread, and people are actually sharing a ton of their home screens in the forums. If you jump into the forums link, let me see how many posts there are right now. There were a metric ton before. We've got 8 pages of home screens, so that's like 80 home screens so far. And if yours isn't there, go and do it. We want to see. I need to learn what's better than default.
I gotta
Yeah,
get in
and
there
if you're
and post mine.
jailbroken, tell me which way you use it.
Oh, by the way,
So I saw some awesome themes that I'm so gonna have to get
nice
them.
wallpaper.
Anyways,
I am officially now at Captain Default on Twitter. I got it. I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet, but I got it.
cool.
I think you should just post really, really boring tweets.
To Mark Edwards.
Yeah.
I'm going to at Mark Edwards. That's it. And Seth. I'll send air hashtags to Seth.
Oh, please don't.
Seth, you wrote an article on how you use your iPhone as CIO of a web and app development company. So, yeah, can you give us like a brief little tidbit?
Yeah, sure. Renee asked me to write this article up. He thought it would be fun, and so last night I
Well,
spent a
Colin,
little
credit where
time.
credit's due. Ali started this off, and then I thought Seth would be a great follow-up.
Yeah. So I was happy to throw it together. I rely heavily on my iPhone to get through the day, so without giving it all away, because you really should go read the post. It's broken down into three major categories. It's kind of like internal systems management and information, and then there's calendar, contacts, mail, and then there's basically everything that happens outside the office and tasks and some alternative apps that I choose instead of the default apps. But just like I was about to say, my home screen is like kind of a work in progress. Like it's never really static for too long because my needs change, or I decide I don't like something anymore. I'm tired of looking at it, and I move things around. But there are a core set of apps that I use every single day, and one of the greatest things about iOS as a platform is that not only do you have like a choice of like, hey, if you don't like the calendar, you can try this calendar, but you have like 30 calendars that you can choose from.
Yeah. From Calvetica to Fantastic, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, so basically it's just, kind of me running through a typical day and the stuff that I use. And I think I linked to everything in there. So if anything sounds good to you, you can head right
Check
to
it out.
iTunes and grab it.
And make a comment so that we can see which manner in which, you use it and see if it's is Seth being most efficient. If you think that you can find a way to make Seth more efficient,
Seth's now a fixer-upper.
Yeah,
comment as well.
totally. Like if you're
Extreme Makeover, Seth's Productivity Edition.
if you look at my stuff and you're like, oh, you know what you need to use? This. By all means, let me have it. I'm always looking for new stuff.
And your office is gorgeous, Seth, by the way.
Oh,
It is
thanks.
really.
So is Allie. She put a picture of her office up. You can look at Allie's. Allie did very similar. Allie runs. I'm going to say this wrong. I always want to say Mixelplick, but it's actually Pixelfix. If you say it backwards, she does get sent back to the fifth dimension. But her office is gorgeous, and she repairs iPhone, like did broken iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch screens, does mods, stuff like that. Her article is going to be in the show notes right after Seth's, and we're going to continue this series. I have Chris Vitek from the forums. He's a professor of mosquitoes and other bugs. It's going to be interesting. So we'll have that up tomorrow.
Get sent back in time along with Alex Trebek.
We might even get one from Georgia if we can sweet talk her out of it.
Yeah, you should do one.
I'm doing one.
No, I meant Georgia. Georgia should do one too.
I probably should.
My iPhone sits in a drawer.
Renee, you definitely
It's a
should,
fabulous
because-
paperweight.
You definitely should, Renee, because the entire weekend we spent together, you didn't open your laptop for more than like 5 minutes, and yet the site just kept churning things around, and it just amazed me that you were able to do so much from just your phone.
Yeah, I did. I had to do some stuff for the iPhone 4S review on my laptop just because there was some crunching involved, like resizing, crunching videos and things. But yeah, I can pretty much run Tippy on an iPhone. I can run it well on an iPad, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. It was a testament to both your ingenuity and the strength of the platform, for
I was
sure.
dog fooding, dude. Dog fooding.
Totally.
Yeah, we haven't shot most of the stuff for the reviews with iPhones. We're doing a lot of that now. We shot the new Tippy TV. We have a new Tippy TV. Any spoilers, Georgia?
Oh, it was absolutely helicopter fantastic. It was
it's
amazing.
Too much. We shot it all with the iPhone 4S. We'll see how that turned out.
It was a lot of fun.
It was like
A lot
Blue
of
Thunder versus Airwolf, Seth.
That is a battle for the ages.
I won't tell you who won.
Run by drunken children.
Yeah. if Stringfellow Hawk was replaced with a drunken child, if Roy Scheider was Georgia, then we would have. Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. Talking about, Apple has aired its first iPhone 4S commercial, and most of the focus was on our favorite lady, Siri.
Siri is very good and fun to use.
Well, that is really the reason that I would want to get the 4S. It's not for anything else, but Siri is just so very sweet.
Yeah.
Siri, will you be my friend? No.
One of the new things I found, it's not like it's a huge secret, but I was actually wondering if it would do this. If you say define in a word, it'll pop up definitions right there for you. And that's something that, like, I always have a dictionary app on my phone, and I always forget that it's there, and I'll come across words and be like, oh, I should look this up, which is why I like the in-app dictionaries so much, where you can just kind of tap and hold and get stuff. But if you just hold Siri while you're reading something and just say define and the word, it'll bring up some Wolfram Alpha stuff.
But it still doesn't read that out to you as of yet.
No, come on. You can't be totally lazy. You got to still read.
Oh, I can be totally lazy. I want it to launch applications, take photographs, turn on facial recognition. I'm going for all to boot. Again, it's only in beta, but I'm sure that it'll be able to do that. I'm sure that we'll be able to launch things after a while.
I want to toggle settings like Siri, turn my Wi-Fi and Bluetooth off. Boom.
Yes,
Dude,
yes,
you can say
yes,
who is the cast of
yes.
Firefly, and it will tell you from Nathan Fillion on down.
Oh yeah.
Right, right. I am, yeah.
I'm still discovering stuff. I haven't really even had as much time as I would like to play with it, but every time I kind of think of something, I'm like, I wonder if it'll do that, and half the time it does, and I'm just like, wow, that's great.
And have you used it for making phone calls, for being in the car, and has it helped out?
I haven't yet. I haven't done that because, truth be told, I really don't talk on my phone all that much. So I mean, it's there when I need it. I did actually try, sort of related to Siri, but not really, the dictation, which is unbelievable. It was so close to exactly what I said that it was shocking.
We were using it in like really noisy rooms. We talked about this when Jim was on. We were using this in really noisy rooms, and it still picks up it does not make any more mistakes than my fat fingers and damn you autocorrect does.
Yeah, it's probably on par with that. If you're blasting through a message and you're making mistakes, it's probably about the same.
And yeah, you can take a look at a tip on how to fix that. I don't know if it's up yet.
No, but you
On
did a
when you
tip
make
on basic
mistakes.
commands.
Yeah, I did the tip on basic commands, but I actually have one that's not up yet that's also going to be on how to make corrections to Siri when she types, when she does other things, and you want to make a correction to it so that it's easy. Yeah, I just really wanted to. And I really do want Siri. I have to say, I get the iPhone 4S. It is only for Siri. I will enjoy everything else.
Well, you'll enjoy the camera because the camera is freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, that would be true. That would be true. I do take a lot of photos, so I would enjoy that. The commercial is completely focused on Siri and really lets people know how Siri can make their life more easy. They've, again, as Apple does wonderfully, it shows how the iPhone can make your life simpler, easier, more efficient. And it did a really good job. I don't know, Seth, if you saw the commercial as of yet, but it did a really good job of making you want Siri. It's like those people that just you want to be with them because they can make your life happier, simpler, and you know, be a friend.
Yeah.
It's what they did with FaceTime right away on the iPhone 4, because FaceTime was the big show-off demo feature, and they put it right away into a commercial. And they did several FaceTime commercials, and you remember the original one ended with the sign language at the end, and Apple was very careful to show off Siri with the blind woman doing messaging at the end, and now they're right away hitting it with the commercial. So they want to show what makes iPhone different and unique and human and usable. I think that's a smart strategy.
And I think that Siri is used by a greater population of people for a much larger amount of time than, say, FaceTime is. Because I know a lot of people that like FaceTime was kind of novel. They enjoy it. It's great for families and for things that are gone out. But they don't use it every day. Whereas Siri, it's actually a fun experience because it's so efficient and kind of shocks you, has the wit and the kind of cute little remarks to it. So I think that Siri is even a bigger jump for the iPhone 4S, a bigger pull than FaceTime was for the camera, for the 4.
A lot of people are like, yeah, well, everybody said FaceTime was going to change the world and nobody uses it now. Siri is not anything like that at all. It's completely, totally different and totally awesome. So it's not gimmicky. There's so much potential and there's so much probably yet to come that it's just exciting exploring it. And it's, FaceTime, it's like a one-trick pony. Hey, it's you and I'm seeing you and it's over. Siri is like, every day you're exploring it and it's just totally different.
I'm using
And
Siri a lot.
And it will evolve and get better as you go along. So the manner of which you can use it, in the end, it will be just like, I assume it's going to be just like one of the Star Trek computers. We won't say how because I would assume it's going to be a benevolent kind of force. But it's pretty cool in the things that we can do and the possibilities of where Siri could go.
Yeah, I am a huge Siri user now, especially when I'm driving. Just the ability, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the ability I can just send off. I was sending Seth long messages, and I was sending Kevin long emails, and I was adding things, reminders. I was texting Georgia on the way back today. It is. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. Maybe I should be resting in the car when I'm driving, but it has just made me so much more productive, and I think it's a big thing going forward. And I know Andy
And much more
Rubin
safe.
from Android was a bit dismissive, and they've had voice control in Android since the Nexus One, and he didn't like the idea of the anthropomorphizing of it, giving it like the Siri Pixar personality. But I think that's really what makes it so engaging. Now, Android can do things that Siri can't, like it can launch apps and it has certain abilities Siri doesn't yet have. But I think overall, I didn't use it much on my Nexus One, but I'm using Siri all the time, and I think it's because again, Apple is just really good at implementing this stuff in a way that makes it usable to a more users will use it more often.
So, if I can ask, just from a psychological perspective, Seth, have you personified Siri? Like, do you speak to Siri as Siri, do this, or do you just give the commands without actually speaking to it as a person?
I don't usually address it as Siri. I usually just uh,
What a
issue
jerk.
my command, as it were. But it's funny to try to talk to it slash her and just kind of see what you can get out of her. But I did it a couple times, starting with Siri, and it might have just been the times that I did it. It was not working properly or whatever. So I ended up just going back to pressing the button, waiting, and not addressing, but just kind of saying what I need to.
And Renee?
Yeah, I talk to it as Siri. Like I said, it's my little Pixar character friend. It's my Wally. It's my Eva. It's my Yoda. More often than not say Siri, and I am very happy with that.
We have a flat tire.
How do I tie a bow tie again?
What's the fastest way to Hartford Hospital?
Do I need an umbrella in New York this weekend?
Remind me to call Chris when I get home.
Move my meeting from 3 to 4?
What does a weasel look like? Remind me to get milk when I leave work.
Tell my wife I'm gonna make it.
Wake me up at 6.
Play some Coltrane.
I'm locked out.
I found 3 locksmiths fairly close to you.
Say hello to the most amazing iPhone yet.
There we go.
Pretty impressive.
I love it. I think this commercial was a complete hit.
Did you guys see that there's a site called Scoopertino that does fake Apple stories, and they had a story up today or yesterday about Phil Schiller being fired and replaced by Siri? That Apple did such a good job with Siri, they could turf Schiller and just put her in charge.
I wonder how Schiller felt about that. Yeah.
Forstall's like, it's blow away, you Phil. Nice.
Well, talk about Schiller doing his work. We put up a cloud of finding out how iCloud was working for you. And we asked, is it working perfectly, good, okay, meh, fail, and or other comments. And Seth, did you take a check on how iCloud did with among our readers?
No, because I'm self-absorbed and very busy, so I didn't. Why don't you?
Why don't you tell us how it's working for you then, Mr. Captain Self-Absorbed?
It's working fine.
Well, now you guys have your captain names for Halloween. I'm sad I don't have one.
Oh, you've got one too. Don't worry.
Yeah,
You've got one.
Don't. Yeah, seriously.
I don't want to know.
Okay.
It's fine. iCloud's been great. I moved all my personal stuff over to it, and it's been good. I mean, I had a couple of little hiccups when I took a ton of pictures when I went on a little trip last weekend, getting back and opening my laptop and kind of waiting for PhotoStream to pull them in. Like I think I had to restart iPhoto or do something on my phone. But it's been great. I mean, honestly, calendars are working very well. I haven't had any problems with mail. Haven't had any problems with backups. I did a full restore from an iCloud backup. It worked.
That's so
flawlessly.
sweet.
Yeah, I mean, this is really not the Mobile Me launch. It's really quite well done.
Although I had to deal yesterday with a furious little app editor by the name of Leanna, whose iWork documents in the clouds just all vanished on her. Just went poof, they were gone.
Yeah, I'm not using any of that stuff, though.
She was on the phone with Apple for hours and hours, and she's going to write about it, but she was not a happy Leanna. There were tiny fists of fury flying everywhere.
Well, most people actually said that, so it was almost 30, 40, 80% of people said that it was working okay to perfectly, 30% for perfectly, 20% for good, and 30% for okay, some good and some bad, which, for a new implementation, I think is pretty much a pass.
But it's
Right?
also
That's like an 80%.
it's radically different. It's not just Mobile Me. They didn't just rebrand Mobile Me the way they rebranded .Mac to Mobile Me. It's entirely different technology. That's why they're not saying it's sync like Mobile Me. It's not using sync services. It's store and push. And it's doing a fairly good job of it. The only problem is that it is opaque. So like Leanna just sees her documents disappear. She can't like go into Dropbox on the web and look at the version history and pull back an old copy of it. So it's got pros in that it's really simple, it's really abstracted, it's very neat and tidy. But the cons are that if anything ever goes wrong, it's just as neat and tidy. Yeah.
And in the user agreement for iCloud, it does say, don't use this as your only manner of storing something.
Yeah.
That's important to make sure that you have another backup of it, because they cannot guarantee that everything is going to be retrievable from the cloud, because sometimes things do happen, even to Apple.
AKA the whoopsie clause.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
You can't sue us if we lose your childhood pictures.
You did another thread, Georgia, that got rave reviews. It was on iPhone 4S and iOS 5 battery life. And every time a new software or a new phone comes out, that's usually the thing that we get first. How's your battery life? What's your battery life like? How's the battery life? Anyone got a battery life? What's going on with the battery life?
Right. Exactly. And it's so important because, if your phone is slowly dying off and you need it for something, the amount of panic that I feel as I notice that my battery, and for that I should probably just I do actually bring a charger with me almost everywhere, but it's good to know what you have to do in order to keep your battery for as long as possible, and also what to do if there's something that's wrong with it.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot on Sunday, so you can go listen to iPad Live for all the Grizzly details, but I just wanted to make sure you mentioned it on both shows because, again, my email box is exploding with people talking about battery life.
Mine was weird at first, and it seemed to have stabilized. I imagine the battery has to be conditioned, used a couple times, charged, discharged, etc., and it's fine now. I mean, it's been a week and a couple of days. It's actually, I don't know how it is next to my iPhone 4. I don't really care. It's good enough. And the other thing is that if you're going to really use the phone the way that you want to use it, like with location-based reminders and things like that. Like I actually tried that on the way home from work, and I watched the little arrow stay on the entire way home, and I was like, oh my God, what is my battery going to be like? It was only like 1% less than it would have been without the reminder running. So if you really want to get the most out of it, use it and just charge it. And if you have to worry about it, buy a Mophie case or bring a little battery backup. It's not that big of a deal.
Real, like Phil Dickinson always said, real men plug in.
Exactly.
And he's got an LTE phone that lasts 3 hours, so he knows what he's talking about.
If he's lucky, yes.
Yes. With the battery pack.
I loved the article that Andrew did on the iPhone camera and how it's improved over the year. I was actually in shock when I went through to the original. I went, really? It was that bad? How did I even survive? And you have the photos, so you can take a look at the difference between the original and the 4S, and it is striking. The color difference, the sharpness, just the jump from the 3G and the 3GS it's like startling.
Oh, yeah.
If you click through and you go to Lisa Bettany, she's one of the driving forces behind the Camera Plus app. She actually did a series of macro shots and a series of landscape shots showing how the camera changed. And really, it is redonkulous. It is spectacular. It goes from being this really fuzzy kind of a thing that you usually see on a blog when someone's taking a picture of a phone they shouldn't be taking a picture of. Or a celebrity part they shouldn't be taking a picture of, and it turns into just like a gorgeous, you'd be hard pressed to tell it apart from a point and shoot shot.
Yeah, it's like the original was just pictures that you would take of like Bigfoot, so no one would know that it was fake.
Yeah,
right.
It was the Discovery Channel
and that was
camera.
before they had the motion stabilization, so they would be
Yeah, very impressive. Check it out.
We also discussed Sprint working to fix the iPhone 4S data speeds. Now, Renee is in Canada, but Seth, you're not. Do you have any friends that are on Sprint, and have they also found that it's slow?
Yeah, our CTO Dave is a Sprint customer, and his whole family's on Sprint. So he and his wife now both have iPhone 4Ss. He did some speed tests with Justin when they were at a meeting, and they were both they both had pretty decent signals. And
What's Justin on? Sorry.
he's on AT&T,
Okay.
and Justin's data was very, very fast. His speed test was way, way ahead of Dave's, and I mean, this is something we knew. AT&T does have good data speeds. You know, it's pretty solid. When you've got a good signal, it's good. And Sprint is a little slower, and he has not experienced the cripplingly slow data speeds that we were hearing about, like with this piece. He hasn't had any problems where it was like, you know, 0.01 down. It wasn't like that. It's just noticeably slower than the other phones. So I emailed him the story and said like, hey, guess what? Hang on, because this might get better. And he's like, yeah, it's not bad now. If they can double it, that'd be fantastic.
But he came from a pre-minus, and I think that one of the important things to remember is the iPhone 4S has an HSPA 14.4 radio, which means you can theoretically get up to 14 down. I've gotten 9 down on Rogers, which was really cool. But for the Verizon and Sprint ones, you're still stuck on EVDO Rev A, and Georgia did a write-up on all that stuff a long time ago, and I think it was like 2 or 3, right, George, for the... So you're going from like a potential of 14 to a potential of 2 or 3. So you're gonna, there's other reasons to pick one of those phones.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I got a data rocket stick from Rogers to try out, and I was at Starbucks yesterday, and I twittered this. I was getting 47 megabits per second down and like 9 up at Starbucks on Rogers LTE. I don't know how I wasn't cooked alive by those data speeds, but it was ridiculous.
Your phone fried the egg itself.
If I can get a phone on that, yeah, I think the phone will turn into a small singularity and just invoke the universe.
Each time you use that, you develop different cellular mutations, so just be aware of that.
I'm going through the X-Men.
Keep on trying till exactly.
I was Storm yesterday. Today I'm Colossus.
So you're downgrading.
Yeah.
Renee, talk to me about T-Mobile.
Yeah, so we, not just us, we heard, and a bunch of other companies, a bunch of other blogs heard that T-Mobile was like all set to launch the iPhone, the new iPhone, and then they didn't. And there's been some theories that maybe AT&T or Deutsche Telekom called and said, look, we're doing a merger, there's no point, stop it. But T-Mobile finally came out and said, T-Mobile thinks the iPhone is a good device, and we expressed our interest to Apple to offer it to our customers. Ultimately, it's Apple's decision. The issue remains that Apple has not developed a version of the iPhone with technology that works on our fast 3G and 4G networks. So they use the AWS frequencies, which are very different than the AT&T ones, and they got no phone.
Yeah, and they we heard that they were even like ready to launch for commercials, and they were really far in.
No phone for you. 1 year.
Now, do you think that they were so filled up with being able to cover everything for the 4S that they just did not have the time and effort to launch, and they did not want to do a post thing of Verizon with having different systems running on different phones?
I think they probably at some point they said, all right, you're going to merge AT&T anyway, so we're not going to put a lot of effort in you. If you want the iPhone to run on your 2G network, that's not going to happen, so you get no iPhone. And then either that or they said something, someone got upset, and harsh words and language were used, and now everyone is sitting in corners.
I watched, and there's been a lot of news on Steve Jobs, and with the book coming out. 60 Minutes did a wonderful job with the videos, and Apple also put out on their website a video celebrating Steve Jobs as well.
It was fantastic.
It made I felt sad. I don't know. It was just it just seems too soon.
Well, this was the one.
Too soon to see it, but it's just still so raw. So
This was the internal celebration that Apple held originally just for Apple employees and board members and executives. And then they decided to put it up on apple.com, and I'm just scrubbing through it trying to find a part of it, because there was one, I think all of you will know who I'm talking about, but there was someone who came out and stood, just the way he spoke, and they were like vice presidents. There were people who invented core technology for our current information age. And there was one guy who just came out and talked about Steve, and I'm going to play a few seconds of that.
Is a dopey idea.
Hang on a second.
And sometimes they were. Really dopey. Sometimes they were truly dreadful. But sometimes they took the air from the room, and they left us both completely silent. Bold, crazy, magnificent ideas, or quiet, simple ones, which in their subtlety, their detail, they were utterly profound. And just as Steve loved ideas and loved making stuff, he treated the process of creativity with a rare and a wonderful reverence.
I won't go through the whole thing now, but if you haven't yet, head on over to apple.com and just especially watch Johnny Ive's part, because there was a lot that came out that said that, he and Steve would have lunch every day, or Steve would come down to his workshop and they would go through different size tablets or all sorts of things. And they people would joke and say that they were soulmates, but it really seems like they were on that same page, and that was a big part of the reason Apple could work the consumer electronics magic that they worked.
Johnny Ive himself, he's so amazing. The way that he speaks, his passion for design, what he wrote was so thoughtful, and just like his designs, he said what needed to be said and nothing more and nothing less. And he did a beautiful, beautiful job of touching us through his words and letting us in a little bit on his relationship with Steve Jobs.
Did that surprise you, Seth?
No, not at all. I mean, he's a cool dude. He's got a lot of great ideas, and I think the two of them together probably were just an incredible sight to behold. When they're having those kinds of conversations, just to have been around them would have been amazing. Just to kind of hear the stuff that they talked about, and it's, even if you aren't a fan of Steve and you don't like Apple, you just have to, as a human being, appreciate when other human beings take what they do to that completely elevated level and understand it in a way that other people don't, and are willing to use what they know and what they can do to, do things for other people and let us experience part of what they're thinking and sharing that with us. And it's just cool,
So,
and I loved in the book about their relationship and the feelings of when Steve would take would claim an idea as his own when Johnny felt like he actually created the idea. I thought that was actually a really great kind of, it seems almost like childlike kind of idea. Like, really? No, but I actually did it. And what are you doing on stage dealing with that?
Hello? Like grumpy old men arguing with each other.
Yeah, exactly. No, really, it was mine. What's up with that?
He never stopped making fun.
Honest.
He never stopped making fun of aluminium.
Yeah, very, very honest.
They also, and this part really excited me there, because there's already talk about them making the book into a movie, of course, because everything has to be put into every form of media. But they're talking about getting Aaron Sorkin to write it. And Aaron Sorkin, of course, did The West Wing, and he did A Few Good Men. You Can't Handle the Truth. And he did, most recently, The Social Network. I know they didn't invent Facebook, because they would have invented Facebook. Very gifted screenwriter, excellent ear for dialogue, very good at constructing scenes. He made a lot. Facebook was not an interesting movie, and it was much better than most of the interesting ones with terrible scripts last year. So they could do a lot worse than having Aaron Sorkin screenplay it.
Yeah, I think that he would do a great job at giving good discourse in between the characters and letting them use their words to come alive into the characters. 60 Minutes also... Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, do you think, though, I mean, he's come out and said about the Facebook story that he took liberties with stuff to make it a better movie. Yeah. So if we've got this really, really amazing biography that is literally from Steve's mouth to Walter Isaacson's ears and to our eyeballs, Do you think he'll stay true to that if he's making a movie about this book, or will he kind of take those same liberties and it won't really be exactly what the story is? Because honestly, that's the story. What Steve told to Isaacson, that's the
Yeah,
story.
Jobs'
So
version of the story. Yeah.
I love Aaron Sorkin. I think he's amazing. And, Renee, I always agree with you. The writing is beyond reproach, but he's done that in the past. He's admitted that. And that's the only concern I have, is that it wouldn't really be the story. It would be what he thinks would be a good story.
Hollywoodization.
Right.
I don't know if you would have to do that much with it because there's so much out there. And Steve was, he was all shades of gray. There were things that were fabulous and amazing about him. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that was prickly and difficult and over entitled and stubborn. So I think that I don't think that he would see the need as much. And I think that because the book is out there, people would be a little bit more upset if the story had a lot of liberties taken in. Because the reason that you would go to see a movie about Steve Jobs was to find out about Steve Jobs.
Wasn't Pirates of Silicon Valley, they took a lot of liberties too, and people still mostly enjoyed it.
Oh, it's an enjoyable movie, but I'm sure there are wide swaths of it that are really not factual.
Steve never wore his hair like Noah Wyle. Come on!
Georgia, I think you're probably right, though, in that Steve was not only critical of himself in the book, but encouraged other people to be honest. So I think that there probably is enough truth to that material to make it a compelling story regardless.
Just the feet thing itself, and the manner in which he would conduct interviews with people that were new was, it just seems like it would be really, really good and humorous. Or the manner in which
I'm only 10 pages in. Spoiler alert.
No.
Okay, his relationship with Woz, it's really, really fascinating. So I think that there's a lot of different spins that you could take without having to add a lot of liberty to it. And again, because he's such an iconic figure, I think people would get angry if the story was completely not true.
Yeah.
That they added too much to it.
I haven't read much either, so I'm really trying to avoid people talking about it. And every time I see a blog post like, let's talk about the book, I just finished it, I'm like, whoop, right by that.
Yeah, so people were asking us why we didn't, because some people basically live blogged their reading of the book, and we didn't do that. We decided instead to make a book club. So we have an official Tippy book club in the forums now, and every month we'll pick a new book, and we started off with the Steve Jobs book. And we're all reading it in there together, some, like me, slower than others, and sharing our thoughts. And that way you can opt in. So if you don't want spoilers, we're not going to force them on you on the main feed. You can just go to forums.tippy.com, go to the new books and magazines and comics forum, and join the book club thread, and we will hash it all out.
Yeah, Fish Girl from the chat room is saying that, she's talking about how she hopes that that he's honored and honest. And I hope that they show in the movie when it comes out that they are really, really honest about it, because I think that the most interesting part of people are their frailties, are the manner in which they handle things, how they deal with things, and their faults, because that's what makes people interesting. You don't want to have someone that is up on a pedestal and perfect and does everything right. That's dull. There's no growth in that. So I hope that they go all out and show us all the different facets of what made Steve who he is.
Yeah, agreed. Let's move on next.
Steve Jobs, the videos. If you have not already seen them from 60 Minutes, they're really, really interesting. And we have them up so you can take a look at all of them. It has what was on 60 Minutes Plus, also what was on Overtime, so the pieces that they could not put in. And it talks about Google and Gates and a really cute discourse in between their love-hate relationship, which cracked me up, I have to say. It was really, really perfect. So take a peek at that if you have not already seen it.
Yeah. And there's other specials, there's PBS ones, all sorts of them. Everyone is jumping on the Steve Jobs special bandwagon, so you have a litany to choose from this week.
iCloud, Renee, powered
I'm going to skip
by the
iCloud
sun.
because we're getting long, and there's some stuff I want to talk about, so if you don't mind, I'm going to skip us ahead a little bit.
Okay, let's do it.
2009 iPhone 3GS runs iOS 5 pretty darn well. 2010 Nexus 1, not getting Android 4. The iPhone came out about 7 months before that Android. Google said it was, the Android. It was going to get updates sooner, faster. I had to wait forever for it to get a gingerbread update, for it to trickle download weeks and weeks. But even that was better than it never getting them. And people give Apple a hard time. Apple's only putting Siri on the iPhone 4S to force us to upgrade. Oh, I don't have wallpapers on my 3G to force me to upgrade. But at least they're putting some functionality on the older devices. I kind of feel sad that I'm not getting any darn ice cream sandwich.
That's super lame, gotta say. Super, super lame. Considering that I've heard from other people that that device is more than capable of running the OS.
It's RAM starved, but I mean, and so people are saying that it's incredibly big rewrite. The UI is different. They've done a lot of stuff, and the Nexus One is constrained on what it can do because of its hardware. But still, something. Give me something. Give me the interface. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the quote experience is going to be better on the Galaxy Nexus, and I'm sure it's going to run awesome. But the whole idea behind the Nexus line is you get updates, and Google never said, well, we're going to not give you updates at some point. So I feel like if the whole idea behind the platform is this is the line in which you can be sure that you're a part of the software release chain, just release the software, and if it stinks, then you can't use it. I would venture to say that no self-respecting Android developer that really cares about Android development is building on a Nexus One at this point. They may have a Nexus One, they may be playing with it to maintain compatibilities, but I'm guessing they're developing at a higher level for a higher level than that phone. So if that's the case, then what's the problem with releasing it? It shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Cyanogen's going to have it on there in a month anyway.
Oh, without a doubt. And if everything's open source, then what's the problem?
And the reason I bring it up, I mean, I'm not bringing this up just to talk about Android. We have far too much iOS news, but Apple gets a bad rap for stuff like this. But I think that it's part of the value equation when you decide what phone you're going to get. That Apple has historically done these free updates. They have released it for all devices at the same time. The iPhone 4 and 3GS got iOS 5 before the iPhone 4S was even released. It didn't take weeks or months. It wasn't in coming weeks it'll get an update. They didn't have to rely on anybody else. They pushed it out. And if you're considering a phone and updates are important to you, reliable updates, speedy updates are important to you, I think that's something you can consider with the Apple platform. That's all.
Renee, can we jump down to accessories?
Yes, I'll mention in passing that Nokia has put out their first Nokia Soft Lumia phones. You can go over to WP Central to look at them, and then we'll jump down to accessories because I know you're excited.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Iris 9000?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about this because I am so very excited.
So actually, the other one is really cool too. So I think we'll try and get both in there. But the Iris is, of course, from ThinkGeek.
Plus, I need a call.
And yeah, what they did was they basically took the HAL 9000 from 2001, A Space Odyssey, and they made this accessory that you put next to your iPhone that lets you use Siri remotely from across the room with all the HAL goodness. And I think maybe when it sees Seth, it's going to open the pod door.
I saw this come up in my Twitter stream, and I was squealing like a nitwit. I was so excited.
This is so cool.
Absolutely buying this.
Just
to have it in my house. Even if I never use it, I just want it in my house.
It's the glowing LED eye. It flickers when Siri talks to you.
And the other thing that's cool is the Nest, which is from Tony Fadell, who is the guy who originally was working on the iPhone and before that the iPod, and he started his own company. And this is a intelligent learning thermostat. I'll see if I can pull it up. So basically what it does is it learns from your behavior, and it's elegant, it's beautiful, it looks like an iPod click wheel sort of, and you just basically turn it, and it over time it learns, and this is basically Apple's design aesthetic being pushed into other sectors of the industrial space, and I think that's terrific. I think Leanna's going to try and get one too.
Yeah. Okay, Renee, can you give me a phone call?
I was hoping that you would buy me some time by covering for me.
Oh.
Throw me
well, I apologize. So, okay, we've been getting some pretty sweet accessories, and we had taken a look at one of the celebrity sightings, and I saw this in one of the celebrity sightings, and I had to get it. So, Renee, right now, I'll just show that I have a call right now coming in. There we go. Call coming in. And here I go. Wait, gotta move this over. Hello.
Let's put you on speaker. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Are you actually answering me on a phone from the Matrix?
I really am. Oh, it's yeah, pretty cool. That's all I have to say. This was Lenny Kravitz had it. You can take a look at our celebrity sighting post.
That Michelle put together. Thank you, Michelle.
People. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Michelle. Wrote to the people and said, I need to test this baby out. And my husband was using it with his phone in his pocket and just chilling all day, being able to talk on the phone easily without any hands. You can just kind of put it like this, just like a regular phone, put it in your pocket. And I need to get like some sort of like a hook to hang from my purse so I can have it. Yes, there is the retro ring, of
That is
course.
so ghetto.
And it's just the sweetest thing. So yeah, we're gonna send this out and take a look and fully review it, but have to say love it.
Seth has something to say, I can tell.
You're a dirty hipster.
What was that, Seth?
I said, you're a dirty hipster.
A damn dirty hipster.
And you can you can use your voice dial with it. You can pick it up, you can hang up. There's a little tiny button, and it's just the coolest thing. So that's from Pop. We're gonna put a link up and do a review, so it'll be on the website.
You know what's nice about that is like you're talking to, like, you know, like when you're really angry at somebody and you used to be able to take the phone and go fine and just slam the receiver down. You're gonna make him meet Uncle Click, and now you have the iPhone. You're like, well, a capacitive touch does not vent anger appropriately, but now you have an actual handset, a hard line into the matrix, something that you can take venom and fury and smash into another physical object.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's easy. It keeps if you're worried about any of the dangerous waves that are coming through from your phone, keeps it away. And yeah, I was thinking about, Brad says that I have to go into the public, answer the phone in front of people. I'm going to do that.
And Seth's just sitting there going, damn hipster. Damn dirty hipster.
What's next?
It's pretty cool.
What's next, Georgia?
An iPhone
Pixie?
kilt.
What? Vintage cameras. What's next?
She's going to get a telephone booth. She's going to answer her iPhone on a telephone booth.
Exactly. It is the Matrix. I am going to end the Matrix with this. Actually, talking about like cameras with lenses, we're going to be reviewing one of those as well.
Nice.
But, I'll let you take a look at that later.
All right. Awesome. I think we are done.
Yeah.
So I will just ask you, Georgia, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB. And if you follow, say hello.
Where else?
You can also find me on the website, www.tippy.com.
And?
Oh, Zen and Tech TV. Sorry.
I can write these for you if it helps.
My apologies.
What?
It has been a little bit.
Watch how a real shill operates. Seth Clifford, how can I find out more about you?
Well, Renee, you can follow me on Twitter at Seth Clifford. You can find me on Iterate with you and Mark Edwards of Bajango. I can't continue.
But wait, there's more!
There's got to be a better way. There is.
If you act now, you can also find him at Nickelfish.
Please visit our site, nfidm.com. We're Nickelfish. We make apps. We do web tools. Come check us out.
And they're good. You can find me at Renee Ritchie. You can find all of us at Tippy. You can email us at podcast@tippy.com, or you can leave a comment when the show goes live on the blog. We are here every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. British summertime. And our companion show, Georgia?
Companion show, same bad time, same bad channel, Sunday nights, 9 Eastern, iPad Live.
Nice. You can find all of our shows, including the Crackberry Podcast, Android Central, Iterate, Super Functional, Zen and Tech, Windows Phone, Palmcast, all of them at mobilenations.com/shows. You can go to the Mobile Nations artist page on iTunes. We've got that all set up for you, all in one place. If you haven't already, please go to iPhone Live. Please subscribe. Please leave a rating. It lets iTunes recommend us. More people can find us. And actually, iPhone Live has been blowing up on iTunes lately, so thank you very much for that, guys. It is supremely appreciated. Like I said, the iPhone Live and iPad Live video podcasts are now up there, and they're already shooting up the charts, which is crazy because they went up this morning or last night. If Thank you to the Tippy iPhone accessory store for sponsoring this podcast, and to everyone who showed up for the live chat. You are the best damn community on the Interverse. We love having you, and please stop at forums.tippy.com and talk to us. We want to hear more from you.
Thanks everyone for showing up.
See you guys.
End of line.